I think it's a fair assumption that all of us watching the video, well, I'm not watching the video, I'm making it, but all of us at some point in our life will be touched in a spot that we don't want touched by stick drift. Whether a controller develops it in the box while it's sitting on the shelf so it has day one stick drift for you, or 4.5 years down the road, time has only to tell, but what I'm going to tell you is that we're all going to get fucked by stick drift. And that's because all controllers or gamepads use the same style of thumbstick module, which uses potentiometer sensors and carbon contact patches, or strike plates as I like to refer to them as. If you've got stick drift and you're on PC, check out this video. If you've got stick drift and you're on console, or you've done everything in the previous video, go to this video. Or we can all buy controllers with magnetic Hall effect sensors and never get stick drift, at least not in your lifetime. This controller has been sitting in the closet for nearly 3 months, patiently awaiting a review, but it's going to be worth the wait because I'm going to make this a damn good one. For those of you that staggered haphazardly upon this video and have no idea what I'm holding in my hand, this is the GuliKit KingKong 2 Pro. The naming convention is ridiculous, but this is one of 2 controllers that I've seen that uses magnetic Hall effect thumbsticks.
This is your controller captain. We've reached 6,900 feet. Go ahead and start flicking the sticks and mollywhopping the back paddles.
You don't like back paddles? How about those rear buttons?
We've tested almost 100 custom and premium controllers, and we're only at the beginning. You need a thumbstick guide or a tutorial on how to overclock your controller?
Check out the controller playlist.
Bing bong.
Controller captain out.
Now, as far as price, platform, and where to buy, you can pick up this controller on their website as well as Amazon, which can be a confusing place because you can see there's 4 or 5 listings. I would recommend going with this top one, as long as it doesn't have a badge or logo that says sponsored or ad next to it. And as you can see, this one does have the most reviews with 4.5 stars out of 499 reviews. Granted, I would recommend checking the validity of those, as a lot of Amazon reviews are fake. But with this $4 coupon, you're looking at $66. And something to note, there is very few used options here. So that's good. That means that people are satisfied with these controllers and there's not a lot of used inventory, at least on Amazon. And they do also sell an electromagnetic joystick kit for the Steam Deck, which I will be installing modules on both the left and right analog sticks. And another thing that needs mention, this is one of the few controller companies that is actually innovating. We've had the same formulas for controllers or gamepads for about the last 40 years. Yes, they have evolved in shape, size, and features. We have had the exact same thumbstick modules. And that is because they are cheap to produce. These are bought in bulk from a company called Alps, and it's almost expected that they are eventually going to fail, and customers are going to throw out their controller and buy a replacement, thus allowing companies to monetize us on the back end. So we don't buy a controller once, we buy the same controller multiple times. That is something that GuliKit is trying to get away from. And it's not just their thumbsticks. Like I said, they're packing patents left and right. They're mechanical face buttons. They're patented. APG learning file sharing. They have Hall effect magnetic sensors in the triggers. They have Blackmagic Voodoo packed into the battery to where there's practically no consumption in standby mode. And they have a special AI key that learns your operations for one key setup and a unique skill, game current, blah, 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 blah. Buzzwords. What does it do? We're going to find out. The battery is advertised for 25 hours on a single charge, and you can even share your APG learning files online. I don't know why you'd want to, but you can. Share your profiles with the GuliKit community. Another common question that I hear that I want to clarify, what is the difference between the KingKong 2 and the KingKong 2 Pro? But my recommendation is 100% to go for the Pro model. Why? Because it has an extra word in the title, so it's going to be that much more ballerific. No, in all seriousness, it is their latest version, which they have done some updates or revision to. And the easiest way to tell a difference, there is one cosmetic difference. The base of the thumbstick caps are silver or aluminum on the Pro model and are black on the standard version. If you scroll down to the bottom of the landing page on their website, you will have this nice little chart or table showing the differences between the original Kong and the KingKong 2 Pro. Extra long name, extra features. Multiple platforms. Sure, it was going to work on PC and Switch. New patented electromagnetic stick. That's what your company's known for, is their Hall effect sensors. KingKong ring, I believe they're talking about their impact or anti-friction rings around the thumbstick gate, so you glide along smooth plastic rather than the rough shell. You do have magnetic Hall effect sensors in the triggers. You do have their unique mechanical face buttons. Both controllers support a turbo mode, so if you're playing a beat 'em up, maybe a fighting game, and you want to hold down a button and have it be spammed for you, you can do that. Preferably not in multiplayer or you're a dirtbag. You have adjustable vibration. You have your standard Switch controller features such as vibration and 6-axis gyroscope motion sensing. However, on the Pro, they did add amiibo support, so if you want to scan those little AR Nintendo amiibos, you can do that. You only had 10 seconds of onboard storage for APG, as where you have 10 minutes on the Pro. I'm never going to use this feature, so that is not a selling factor to me. Stick sensitivity settings. You got them on the Pro. You can also adjust the sensitivity and dead zones for the magnetic triggers, and you also have PC and Android motion sense aim assist.
As for the packaging and included accessories, you do
do have 2 translucent wafer stickers, which you will need to slice on the back. Now, this is a $70 controller, so it's closer to the price of a standard controller than a typical Pro controller. And this isn't a Pro controller. It doesn't have rear buttons, trigger stops, swappable thumbsticks, or anything of the such. So don't expect to see a whole heck of a lot of included accessories. Plastic carrying case to keep your controller free of dust and debris. And overall, this feels very high quality. Classy and understated. Holy whew, this is gonna be a long video. You'd have your instruction manual, pamphlet, or brochure, which opens up like a little map to Pleasure Town. You've got every color in the rainbow in here, so even if you're colorblind, you're gonna see something on here. This is a pretty darn good manual though. English is the primary language, good font, easy to understand, descriptive, shows you how to use your new product. Chinese characters on the back, English on the front, and something that just caught my corneas right out of my peripherals. Professional player mode over here. So before you think you're qualified to put this thing into pro mode, why don't you tell me your KD ratio? Professional player mode? All right, GuliKit, as you were, baby. Now, something that needs mentioned right up front, you probably already know this about this controller, but if you don't, this might be the straw that breaks the camel's, get you to click off the video right away. This controller is only usable on Nintendo Switch, PC, Mac OS, so Apple desktops and laptops, iOS devices, so iPhones and iPads, Android devices, so Team Green phones and tablets. Team Green is an Android, not Xbox. So basically all the platforms except PlayStation or Xbox. Keep in mind, this is only the beginning for GuliKit and their controller line, and I do predict maybe a Pro controller version? You didn't hear it here. Quick sidebar, I am a big fan of the aesthetics or looks of the box. It is very understated, it's white, black, and their marketing slogan or catchphrase is enjoy gaming easier. Pretty chill, pretty laid back, not like the usual in-your-face gaming marketing. It's like, don't be a hoe, play like a pro, flick your sticks to and fro, or whatever these companies usually plaster on the box. This just nice and small. Hey man, have a good time gaming. This thing ain't gonna get Stickdrift for you. Chill, bro, enjoy. This little book is a mini catalog of some of their other products. Very nice, if you wanna do a little window shopping. I do not, because I'm cheap. You have a sticker with the GuliKit name and logo. I do like it, it's holographic, kind of reminiscent of a rare Pokemon card. I feel like I say that every single time I look at a holographic sticker. I mean, what else would you compare it to? A Pokemon card. Then you have the small white box, which will give you a paper cut. Has a baggie inside of it, little tin sack of accessories. I like that it is nicely coiled and stowed up. I would rate this cable in the garbage category. It's USB-A on this side, USB-C on this side. It's pretty short, about 5 foot. It is rubber, not microfiber or braided. Not very flexible, not very lightweight, but it will get the job done. Honestly, I would recommend just using your own USB-C cable. It's not proprietary or anything, so BYOC, bring your own cable. As for the cosmetics, looks, or appearance of this controller, I'm going to be overlaying some B-roll or glamour shots right now. First of all, I do like the matte black look with the brushed silver or stainless steel look on the bumpers, triggers, as well as the bases of the thumbsticks. It's very reminiscent of the Elite Series 2, which I think is a gorgeous controller. But I'm also not a tremendous fan of this branding back here. I wish they would have blacked out this text. Overall, this is a very handsome controller. I won't be customizing it, disassembling it, and hydro dipping it, or putting on a vinyl wrap, or anything of the such. It looks good to me. Manufacturer's weight and dimensions are cool and all. They'll be popping up right in front of my face here. I'm in no danger, they weren't really there. As for ergonomics and comfort, they are using a licensed Xbox One/Series controller shell, so it is identical in ergonomics to that controller. Pictures on screen of what that'd be like. However, the materials used feel completely different to the fingertips. There is a soft touch rubberized material on this faceplate. It almost feels like Plasti Dip, and it definitely is rubberized. I feel like if you took a fingernail or definitely a pocket knife, you could actually gouge the top layer of that soft material off. It feels very good in combination with this nice stippling or texturing, this rib design on each hand grip. It strikes a good balance of providing grip while also being comfortable. In my opinion, a stock Xbox One or Series controller is one of the most comfortable controllers on the market. This takes it a step further with premium materials. I'm giving ergonomics and comfort 4 out of 5. Nope. 5 out of 5. This thing's damn near perfect. Build quality is overall quite solid. There's no creaks or moans and groans as I give it the flex or stress test here. I tested these Phillips head screws in the back. They were all tightened, firmly affixed right out of the box. I'm giving build quality a 4 out of 5. Now, quality control reputation, I have heard zero complaints in the controller community about these controllers shitting out on people because they're designed specifically from the ground up not to have the problems of every other controller on the market, due to using magnetic Hall effect sensors in the thumbsticks and triggers. So Dpad or direction buttons, which used to be looped in with thumbsticks, but I decided they need their own section. There's a lot of gamers out there that specifically play fighting games, beat 'em ups, maybe some old platformers or retro games, where their movement input is only going to be the D-pad, and maybe they never use these analog sticks. And if that is the case, you fall into that demographic, you're going to be a happy gamer with this bad boy. This D-pad is one of the best I've felt in a long time, especially with a controller in this price point. It is raised several millimeters from the front shell, making it very easy to cleanly hit, and while it is a typical rubber membrane switch, it feels incredibly tight, crisp, and tactile, while being virtually silent. and you fill each 4 points independently. However, diagonal inputs can be kind of a chore. Overall, this thing is the bee's knees. I'm giving the D-pad 5 out of 5. As for the face or action buttons, this is a mixed bag, and I spent a ton of time sitting here clicking these off camera with a 1,000-yard stare, gazing off into space, losing IQ points as I sit here and click these buttons hundreds, probably thousands of times, trying to decipher the Da Vinci code that is, are these good or not? Good would be a 5, bad would be a 1. These are a 3 out of 5, and let me explain why. Cosmetically, they look pretty good. The aesthetics of them, very similar to the Elite Series 2, where they are black with a dark gray lettering. Looks good. However, they are glossy, and they collect fingerprint oils like nobody's business. The actual feel of them is not fantastic. Also, there's a learning curve because these buttons are more flat and less rounded than standard Xbox buttons. And since GuliKit is already using their own unique switches for these face buttons, I just don't understand why they don't make them mechanical, like what Razer uses or what AIM and Battle Beaver offer in their builder. Something that is reminiscent of a mouse click, an actual mechanical switch. Now, granted, these switches are rated for 50 million clicks, and they are a step up over typical membrane switches of a standard controller. They just don't feel like much of an upgrade, and that is why I'm giving them 3 out of 5. Sidebar, the most unfortunate part of that is you're going to be using these exclusively because you don't have any rear buttons or paddles with this controller. GuliKit, work on that Pro controller, baby. To quickly specify about those face or action buttons, it's by design that they feel like a silicone membrane switch. I don't know why in God's green earth they would want them to feel like that. For most gamers, that's not a selling factor. However, maybe you're playing some retro games and you prefer that squishy membrane switch. I don't know. But the modules that are in the face or action buttons are rated for 50 million clicks, which is more than the 1 million with traditional conductive silicone buttons. Other than being rated for several more clicks, they're also substantially less likely to get stuck in, requiring you to take off the faceplate and unstick them. And it does appear as if these are hot swappable. It says easy change on button cap, and if you come down here, it says please make sure you have DIY repair skills on disassembly and assembly before button replacement. So it does appear as if this 4-pack of mechanical buttons is the same switches inside the KingKong 2 and 2 Pro. So if you ever have issues with your face buttons, which you shouldn't unless you've gotten to your 50 million rated clicks, right? But if you do, you can pop these bad boys in. They're hot swappable, and they cost, they're free because there's no price listed. Seriously, where the hell are you supposed to buy these? Can you not purchase products on their site?
Now, as for the accessory buttons or extra clicky bits, the things on the front of the controller we haven't talked about yet, besides the analog sticks. You got your plus and minus button, that's for use on the Switch. They feel really squishy and mushy, don't like that. You got your screen capture and home buttons, nothing to write home about. I wouldn't waste the ink or the parchment. You have your little cog icon accessory button in the middle. It clicks. Then you got your GuliKit superhero button in the middle. I don't like that either. Then you have these 2 buttons on top, which are sunken into the rear shell extremely deep. You have to get a fingernail in there. Not a huge fan. I'm giving accessory buttons a 2 out of 5 on account that they are large enough to be cleanly hit, but they don't feel great. They're all squishy and membraney. Don't like them.
All the additional features for this controller are activated by holding down this cog icon in the center with a combination of any other button. If you'd like to pause the instruction manual, you can do so now. It is color-coded, and a couple of these that I wanted to make quick note of. This no dead zone mode, I would recommend leaving this on constantly. If you leave this off, you actually have more dead zones than a standard controller, and it just feels a little bit sloppy IMO, or in my opinion, so leave this on constantly. As for these 2 calibrations, one of them is for the triggers, which they call ZL and ZR on the Nintendo Switch, and these ones are for the thumbsticks. I would recommend not running a calibration unless you are having issues. It goes along with that, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I see people running calibrations to try and minimize their dead zones and fix stick drift that they don't even have. So you could actually cause issues that you don't have by running calibrations that you don't need. I'm not a huge fan of motion sense aiming. I find it to be rather gimmicky. However, I know a lot of people really do love it. And this controller does have it to where you can tilt it around and actually aim on screen. Repeated shooting mode is what is commonly referred to as a turbo mode, where you can hold down a button and it will basically spam it for you. So you could hold down a trigger and make a semi-automatic gun shoot fully automatic, or you're playing a fighting game, you can hold down a button and basically spam punch somebody. I think the wording here is pretty hilarious. 20 shootings per second. They could call it 20 actuations or 20 actions per minute or 20 presses per second or whatever, but 20 shootings per second. That sounds dangerous. There is 4 levels of onboard vibration adjustment, which is cool. And then if you want to record onboard macros, which is called your autopilot gaming, you can do that by following these instructions. Again, a feature that I will never use, but
some people may, and it is awesome that it is available in a $70 controller.
All the standard switch buttons such as home, screen capture, plus and minus. There is no 3.5mm port in the bottom for headphones. If you're having issues with a controller, a needle or pinpoint will get you that reset button right there. To disassemble or tear down the controller, you have 4 Phillips head screws. On top of the controller, you have a USB-C port for charging and wired connection. Hold down this button for 2 seconds to change between your platforms. You have D input for Windows for older games, Android and iOS for mobile use, X input for modern PC titles, and Nintendo Switch. Hold down this button for 2 seconds to enter Bluetooth pairing mode, and that's it.
The other reason y'all clicked on the video, other than to see my ugly mug, analog sticks, joysticks. Nothing's better for a microphone than a little handling noise. First of all, right off Jump Street, when I grabbed this controller out of the box and I said, woo, this is gonna be a long video. Remember I said that.
Holy whew, this is gonna be a long video.
These feel unlike any thumbsticks that I have felt. And I felt magnetic Hall effect thumbsticks before. Remember I reviewed the SteelSeries Nimbus? Giblet? Wait, it started with an S. Saturn? Solaris. The only SteelSeries controller I've reviewed on the channel. These feel absolutely buttery smooth. Now, one thing I do want to note, they do have less resistance than a typical potentiometer thumbstick that you're used to with an Xbox and PlayStation controller. So they are very light and have not very much resistance. You don't take very much strength to push these bad boys around. One thing I absolutely love is when you are against the thumbstick gates and you are at full lock, you do have these anti-friction rings, which are one of the smoothest I've ever felt. Also, cosmetically, I absolutely love these aluminum bases down here. I think it looks really good. These are very short, so typical of a standard controller. I would recommend extending them with some Control Freaks or thumbstick caps. We'll test those in just a minute. The materials that they use, the rubber, the silicone compound, feels okay. It's serviceable, relatively grippy. I would like a little bit more in the center. However, the outside has this nice little lined section, which does catch the ribbing of your fingerprints. That was a weird way to word that. Also, something to note, these make a very quiet, audible click as you move the thumbsticks. So as you glide them, you hear dozens of little clicks. I probably sound like a psychopath, but you're gonna see that I'm not crazy. Alexa, the gun off.
Okay.
Shh. Now, whether that's just right now while these thumbstick modules are breaking in, or if that's going to be for the life of this controller, I'm not sure. It's not a huge deterrent. It doesn't bother me. It's very quiet. I barely hear it now, so if I have headphones on or even my TV speakers, I'm not going to hear it. And you don't feel those little clicks. It's very smooth articulation of the thumbstick. Again, not much resistance, but other than that, these feel great. As for thumbstick caps, of course, universal slipovers are going to work, but as for Control Freaks, that's not them. These are AIM thumbsticks. All these baggies look alike. These are red Galaxies for Nintendo Switch. Loose and wiggly. I guess usable, but you can rotate them very freely. These are white Galaxies for PlayStation 4 and 5. Same thing as the Switch. I guess you could use them, but they're even looser and wigglier. They don't work good. And these are licensed Control Freaks for Xbox One and Series controllers. Hopefully I didn't damage that thumbstick. So they're actually too small, making it too tight of a fit, and you would actually damage the thumbstick, which I think I might have actually damaged the stock thumbstick cap just a little bit trying to get these on. The one that I would deem most serviceable, most usable would be the PlayStation 4 and nope, this is Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch.
Over here in the famous gamepad tester and GuliKit, what is going on? Look at these thumbsticks. They are drifting all over the place. Tokyo Drift. Let's test the circularity to get our thumbstick accuracy. Those do be the worst results I've seen thus far. That's for sure. For safe measure, slow and steady wins the race. Glitching out a little bit too. It's weird. That's better. I knew what I was doing. I was just testing you. I had read the instruction manual and knew what I was doing wrong. These two buttons on top, which I mentioned earlier during the functions section, this is your mode switch button. There's Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons. That's your Nintendo mode. Then there's X input, which is more modern titles on PC. Then there's an iOS and Android logo for mobile connection via Bluetooth. And then there is D input connection versus X input, which is for older titles on Windows, like maybe some retro game emulation. And I had it in the Nintendo Switch mode, so keep in mind, if you are playing with this on a Nintendo Switch, you're getting about 20% average error on the thumbsticks, which is not good. But if you're playing with this controller on PC, that allows you to use D and X input modes, which are going to give you this right here, which, as you can see, perfectly balanced neutral thumbstick position, zero drift right out of the box with a 0.00002, which is the lowest that I've ever seen. I've actually never witnessed a controller go all zeros. It's like an old wives' tale. It's a legend. It's a unicorn's horn that can't be jerked. I've never seen that, but I'm sure it does exist. Let's test the circularity, which will get our out-of-the-box thumbstick accuracy. Holy crap. The more I'm going, the lower it's getting. One more, let's go a little bit slower this time. We're going clockwise. Third and final, we're going to go counterclockwise this time. stuttering a little bit. That's weird. Not bad. Not bad at all. Okay, I was able to get the average error lower with that precision or pro mode off, which is interesting, but it does show that the axes aren't as tight. When I turn it back on, tightens them right back up to that 0.2, but then we get a lower reading on the circularity test. Also, I've never had gamepad testers stutter or glitch out like that. Is it my internet? Let's run a speed test real quick, guys. No, it's not my network. Let's switch the controller into D input mode. Currently, we're in X input. Oh gosh, golly jeepers. In this mode, you can't even test the thumbstick circularity, and there's no display of the thumbsticks. So granted, these thumbstick modules won't get stick drift no matter what platform you're on, but you're not going to be taking advantage of those really crisp, tight dead zones and high accuracy unless you're on PC and able to put it into X input or D input mode.
Now let's get a look at the guts of this controller and see these thumbstick modules up close and personal.
Just kidding. That's going to be in a separate video because it's going to be more easily searchable. GuliKit teardown video. So if someone's specifically searching YouTube for a disassembly or teardown video of a GuliKit KingKong 2 or 2 Pro, they're virtually the same controller, they can follow along with that much shorter video rather than digging through this large review to get to the 6-minute teardown. Besides, it's a separate pail that I can grab your udders and milk some view minutes out of you. But for the sake of this review, pictures on screen here. You know what? Screw that. They say a picture's worth 1,000 words, or is it 100 words? It's multiple words, meaning that a video is worth that many more. It's moving photos. Anyway, I'm overlaying some B-roll right now of me disassembling an Xbox One controller like 2 years ago. And then once you've let the visuals of a standard thumbstick module sink into your corneas, bam, here's a picture of what the GuliKit modules look like. They look different, right? Not just different in color, but if you were to remove that plastic shroud or housing from the outside, you'll see that they use magnets breaking connectivity to register that you're moving your thumbsticks rather than constantly wearing down a carbon patch and waiting for potentiometer sensors to go bad because they got just a speck of dust in them.
Bumpers are damn impressive for a multitude of reasons. Well, the first one being cosmetically with this little brushed aluminum look, very reminiscent of something like the Elite Series 2. Are they actually aluminum? No, they're plastic, but they look metal, which gotta count for something. If you get lost or confused, L for left, R for right. I like that it's labeled in case I get turned around. The one and only thing I don't like about these bumpers is that they are on a hinge mechanism right here, meaning if you do press them right here, which I don't think very many people do because that's kind of a weird way to press bumpers. Generally use the meat of your index finger. That's the actual medical term, the meat right there, like that. Which, by the way, you're hearing a nice click right now. I'm hearing it too. Tactile, light, clicky, mechanical? Sounds like it, doesn't it? Feels like it as well. Editor, rescue me. Are these mechanical?
I have no idea, man. That information ain't available online.
I thought so. That's what I thought as well. All right, cool. These are fantastic bumpers, but for the very small demographic of gamers that actually click down with the tip of their index finger, they're going to have a bit of a hard time actuating these switches. Taking you guys into account, when I say guys, that's unisex. It's covering everybody. I'm going to give these a 4 out of 5. Triggers. They have the same silver brushed aluminum look, and these are by far the smoothest feeling triggers I have ever felt. They have a nice linear squeeze, and due to the fact that they have magnetic Hall effect sensors, they're buttery smooth. And keep in mind, you can also calibrate your triggers for this controller, which is pretty sweet. I'm giving them a 4 out of 5. These are the smoothest squeezing triggers I've ever felt, but they don't have any additional features like trigger locks or stops. Now, this is around the time in the review where I do the rear buttons or back paddles. However, this isn't a pro controller. This is more like a standard. I've said that like multiple times. I'll probably cut out some of those.
We're still in X input mode, and we're going to go ahead and run X input tester to get our refresh rate or polling rate, which is going to give us our out-of-the-box input delay. All right, we're getting an average of 18.5 milliseconds on the first poll. Very inconsistent with a minimum of 7 and a maximum of 3,900. That's like almost 4 seconds. And displaying a stock polling rate of 50 hertz, which I would bet my lucky kidney is incorrect. Let's run a couple more. Show me what you're working with. Average of 16.7 on the second poll, still wildly inconsistent, and another 18.2 milliseconds. Let's change the mode to iOS and Android. Not recognized. Good. Not recognized in D-input mode. Not recognized in switch mode. Slightly better spread there, but still not very consistent. Average of 12.3 milliseconds, and a polling rate advertised of 80 hertz. I don't think so. You couldn't see that because I was behind my face. There's the results right there. That's not good, and I'm giving stock input delay 1 out of 5. But let's see if she's susceptible to being overclocked. So whilst we are wired via X input mode, we are recognized as a USB, nope, right there, Xbox 360 controller for Windows. This controller is not currently overclocked, not being filtered. Let's overclock because that's not great. Install service, open, filter on device, install service, going ahead and open, unplug, replug, overclocked. Overclocking had virtually no effect. In fact, it almost looks like it went the opposite way and made it worse. I'm going to be giving Overclocked Performance a 1 out of 5, as it is non-existent. To connect this controller to your PC via Bluetooth, you need to wake it up by pressing any button, but the home button's a surefire way to get her to do what you need her to do. Using the mode switching button, make sure you're in X input mode, which we've been in dang near the whole video. It's kind of our comfort zone. Then hold down the pairing button, which is by these 4 LED lights. It'll start doing that little tippy tap dance. In the bottom right of your PC, if you're on Windows 10 or 11, you'll have a little icon like this for Bluetooth devices. If you do not, press the Windows key on your keyboard and type in blue, bam, Bluetooth and other devices. Click on add a device. Ignore this option that says Xbox controllers. I know it's tempting. Click this top option. Now, patience is a virtue. We're looking for GuliKit controller. Might have died of old age, but there it is. GuliKit controller XW. Clicker. Bam. We'll see about this input delay via Bluetooth. Oh boy, I'm seeing some big numbers, and that's not good. Smaller number, better person. Smaller number, better person. And we're terrible people. That's a 20 millisecond. We are horrendous people in a past, present, and future life. My God. The funny thing is that actually isn't that much worse than the wired connection via USB-C. Let's run a couple more. Ooh, she is slow. Their website is okay. It's relatively easy to browse. However, there is no tab here for products, so you have to scroll between 3 pages of product listings, and you can't really sort or organize them. So I think their website could use a small revision or bump into the modern era. Keep in mind, I'm also forcing a dark theme right now, so for you, it'll probably look like that. As for warranty information, I have searched high and low. I looked on the manufacturer's website. I looked on the Amazon landing page. I read the instruction manual. I looked on the box because sometimes they list it as a selling feature. I feel like a failure as a controller reviewer, and I'm questioning myself as a man. It ain't that serious. I'll put it down there in the comment section as a pinned comment when I figure it out, probably 6 months later. But the good news is this controller can't get stick drift, so the main reason that people need to cash in a warranty for a controller is non-applicable here. But God forbid you do need that warranty. I can't find it. I bought this controller with my own money on Amazon. I didn't get it sent out for review or anything because that would make it real easy. I would just email my little PR guy or gal that sent the unit out for review and be like, hey, quick question. I'm shooting the review. Is there a warranty on this product? I hope so, because if not, this email is going to be short because we're canceling the collaboration. I'm not going to review a controller with no warranty, that's for sure. As for the cons, shortcomings, or areas of improvement with the GuliKit, oh, you gotta leave that in there. The GuliKit, the GuliKit KingKong 2 Pro. Over here. I like my videos filthy. The cons, because unfortunately there is a fair deal of them. And unfortunately, all I'm seeing from the YouTube reviews, articles, written reviews, forums, etc. around this controller is a lot of positivity, granted some nitpicky things here and there, but nobody's really mentioning the major shortcomings or setbacks with this controller, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that right here and right now as well. After several hours of off-camera testing, I was unable to replicate the results that I got in X input mode in any of the 3 other modes, the Nintendo Switch mode, the mobile, which is for Android and iOS, and the D input, which is also for use on PC, but generally you can force compatibility with older titles that won't recognize an X input controller. I got atrocious thumbstick accuracy, like around a 20% average error, in every single mode versus X input, and the only platform you're going to be able to use X input mode is on PC. GuliKit does not make controllers for any platform other than Nintendo Switch, which obviously is going to have PC support as well. So that right there greatly limits the demographic of who I can recommend this controller to. I'm also very confused with their choice of face or action buttons, considering they're using their own modules in there, which are rated for 50 million clicks, which is fantastic. However, they feel virtually indistinguishable from a stock controller, which has a membrane switch, which is a rubber spongy feeling that basically feels like you're slamming your thumb knuckles deep into a jar of mayonnaise. It's not satisfying, and it's rare that gamers prefer that. Membrane switches, not mayonnaise slammage. I just don't understand. If they're already putting their own modules in there, why not use a mechanical switch, which technically it is already a mechanical switch, but one that feels tactile and clicky, like what we're used to with a mechanical keyboard or mouse, as opposed to something that is meant to feel like a squishy membrane switch. And a small recommendation for the included accessories, I think they could ditch that clear carrying case, because I don't think a lot of gamers are actually going to use it. You should, because it'll keep dust out of your thumbstick modules when you're storing it, but a lot of gamers will just throw that damn thing away. And then include a more high quality USB-C cable, perhaps longer, braided, not rubber, because I don't know if GuliKit is aware of this, but a lot of the gamers that are picking up your controllers aren't buying it for Switch, they're playing these wired on PC. company because they're sick of replacing their controllers to Stickdrift. Which brings me right on into the pros, and you already know the biggest, fattest, girthiest one is the fact that this uses magnetic Hall effect sensors. The triggers, yes, that's good for durability, but more so is a smooth, fluid, buttery, easy to modulate feeling on the triggers. But these thumbsticks, I mean, we have to talk about the fact that they're not going to get Stickdrift for you, at least not in your lifetime. That right there alone, if you heard nothing else from the video, this controller can't get Stickdrift, so recommend it for a pickup as a secondary controller just to have laying around in case your primary controller that you might actually like more, maybe it's a paddle controller, you know, maybe it's an AIM, Scuff, Battle Beaver, Hex, Mega Mods, etc. But guess what? Those all have those potentiometer thumbstick modules. They're all susceptible to Stickdrift and probably will get it over time. So it's good to have one of these bad boys on deck that you know is going to be reliable for you while other controllers continue to fail you. But here's the verdict. I think this is a good start, a good foundation, a good appetizer, if you will, but the main course is going to be GuliKit branching out to other platforms, into Xbox territory, into PlayStation territory, and eventually what myself and the rest of the controller community would love to see is a pro controller variant or version from GuliKit. Something that's utilizing their already awesome patents when it comes to increasing the reliability of these controllers, better thumbsticks, better triggers, better face buttons, granted they don't feel like it, but they're more reliable, but then add some pro or premium features, maybe some trigger stops or locks, and most importantly, some rear buttons or paddles, preferably buttons. Just, we should be getting away from paddles.
Paddles are made for our own goddamn boats.
I recommend this controller if you're on any of the platforms that it does support. This controller is going to last you, well, it should be a lifetime, at least thumbstick or trigger wise. But keep in mind, you're only going to get what I would deem acceptable accuracy from the thumbsticks in X input mode, which you're only getting on PC. But a quick caveat, I just need to clarify that the licensed Nintendo Switch Pro controller has about a 12 to 15, sometimes 20% average error in the circularity test on Gamepad Tester. So that's pretty much on par with this controller. But since this has those magnetic modules, you would expect it to be much, much more accurate, not the exact same, unless you're on PC and able to use X input mode. Overall, this controller is pretty damn sweet because it can't get Stickdrift. Drop in the comment section below your opinion of GuliKit as a company, this controller, as well as their thumbstick modules for the Steam Deck and whatever else they're doing. And give me a heads up of any premium, pro, or custom controllers you would like reviewed or showcased right here on the channel. Peace. If you enjoyed the video, liking it helps it to get seen by more gamers. This information will reach and assist them as well, which in turn helps me grow this little channel, which I do greatly appreciate. Subscribe for more content like this. I cover news in the gaming community and industry, tutorials helping you get set up streaming and YouTubing, as well as honest gaming product reviews, keyboards, mice, headsets, controllers, mics, chairs, etc. There are some hefty exclusive discount codes found only in the description of my videos and only for the audience here at Gamer Heaven. Check out Into the AM for some of the sickest looking and most comfortable cloth to ever grace my gaming giblets. If you don't want to be scorching your corneas with harmful blue light, check out Gamer Advantage, the only blue light glasses on the market that look sexy and actually work. If you're looking for a custom controller that'll blow the competition's tits back, AIM definitively has the best bang for buck or price to performance when it comes to Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch controllers. Nope, they don't do Switch, but they do gaming mice. I said doo-doo. I have links to all my other platforms and socials in the description below. If you need a quick laugh or blast of gamer adrenaline, check my short form videos out at TikTok. To get in touch with myself and the stallions and stallionettes of Gamer Heaven, join the community Discord, and check me out at twitch.tv where I go live every other leap year on a blue moon if it falls into an odd calendar number and my pH balance is on point. Just kidding, starting June I'm going to be live streaming a lot. Thanks for watching. This has been AK40 Kevin hosting Gamer Heaven, and I'll see you tomorrow because I upload daily, all the time, 60% of the time, sometimes, most of the time. Peace.